Welcome to Outside Views Politics 101. Today we're diving into a topic that has shaped political thoughts for centuries: conservatism. When we hear the word conservatism, it might bring up different ideas depending on where you are or your experiences. Conservatism at its core is a philosophy that values tradition, stability, and gradual change over radical transformation. It's often seen as a way of thinking that prefers the familiar and emphasizes the importance of cultural and societal continuity. But there's a lot more to conservatism than simply preserving the past. To understand conservatism fully, let's go back to its roots. Modern conservatism is often traced back to the ideas of Edmund Burke, an 18th century philosopher and statesman who reacted to the radical upheavals of his time, like the French Revolution. Burke argued that society is a complex organic whole built over generations. To him, radical changes threaten the stability that holds society together. He believed that preserving traditions and social institutions allows society to progress in a sustainable way. For conservatives, change is not necessarily unwelcome, but it should happen slowly and with respect for established customs and institutions. This idea that change could be gradual and not disruptive is a core tenet of conservatism. Now, let's break down some key aspects of conservatism, starting with the concept of individual responsibility. Conservatism often emphasizes personal accountability, encouraging individuals to work hard, make responsible choices, and avoid depending on the state for support. In conservative thought, individuals and families are seen as the building block of society, and by nurturing strong families and communities, society itself becomes more resilient. Another key feature of conservatism is its emphasis on limited government. Conservatives generally believe that government should interfere as little as possible in people's lives. This stems from a distrust of centralized power, with the idea that individuals and communities know best how to handle their own affairs. Of course, this does not mean conservatives reject government entirely. Instead, they argue that government's role should be limited to essential functions like protecting national security, enforcing laws, and maintaining public order. Beyond that, they prefer to see a free market economy where businesses and individuals are free to operate with minimal regulation. Conservatism also places great value on traditional institutions like marriage, religion, and national heritage. These institutions provide a framework of values and social norms that conservatives believe are essential for a stable society. For many conservatives, religion plays a key role in shaping moral values and providing guidance for individuals. But it's not just about preserving institutions. It's about the values those institutions uphold, such as respect for authority, duty to family, and loyalty to one's country. Conservatives often see these values as time-tested principles that bind society together. In economic terms, conservatives tend to support free markets and individual entrepreneurship. The idea here is that economic freedom allows people to pursue their own goals and fosters innovation and prosperity. And this is often combined with a belief in fiscal responsibility, meaning conservatives typically support policies that reduce government spending, lower taxes, and encourage private investment. They argue that a free market economy not only drives growth, but also allows people to retain more of what they earn, fostering independence and responsibility. But conservatism isn't the same everywhere. It can look quite different depending on cultural and regional context. For example, American conservatism places a strong emphasis on individual liberty, small government, and a free market economy. In the US, conservatism is often linked to the protection of constitutional rights like freedom of speech and the right to bear arms. European conservatism, on the other hand, has traditionally placed more emphasis on social hierarchy, order, and cultural identity. Many European conservatives focus on preserving national traditions, social stability, and sometimes even a monarchy or nobility. And these differences show that conservatism is not a rigid set of beliefs, but a flexible philosophy that adapts to different societies and their unique histories. It's also worth noting that conservatism is not monolithic. There are various branches and schools within conservative thought. For instance, there's traditional conservatism, which stresses the importance of social institutions and customs. Then we have libertarian conservatism, which is more focused on individual freedom and economic liberty, often skeptical of both government and traditional institutions. Neoconservatism, another branch, emerged in the mid-20th century and advocates for a strong national defense and a proactive foreign policy. Social conservatism, on the other hand, emphasizes moral issues, often rooted in religious beliefs, and seeks to preserve what it sees as core societal values. Each of these branches represents a different emphasis within conservative thought, but they all share a desire to preserve certain aspects of society and to resist radical change. Critics of conservatism argue that its emphasis on tradition can lead to resistance to necessary progress and social reforms. They might point out that conservatism has historically been used to justify the status quo, even when it perpetuates inequality or prevents social mobility. Supporters of conservatism, however, argue that it's not about resisting change, but about making sure that changes are thoughtful and sustainable. They believe that by preserving the wisdom of past generations, society can avoid the unintended consequences of hasty reforms. And in today's political landscape, conservatism faces new challenges and has evolved in response to issues like globalization, immigration, and cultural shifts. Many conservatives are concerned with preserving national identity, protecting borders, and addressing the social impacts of globalization. For some, this has led to a resurgence in populist conservatism, which focuses on protecting the interests of the average citizen and resisting the influence of global elites. In the 21st century, the conversation around conservatism also includes debates on environmental issues, with some conservatives advocating for conservation efforts, aligning with their value of preserving resources for future generations. As we can see, conservatism is a complex and evolving ideology with roots in a desire for stability, order, and respect for tradition. It offers a vision of society where individuals are responsible for their actions, where communities thrive through shared values, and where change is approached with caution and respect for what has come before. Whether or not one agrees with conservative principles, it's clear that conservatism has played and continues to play a significant role in shaping political thought and policy around the world. By understanding conservatism, we gain insight into a philosophy that seeks to balance progress with preservation, aiming for a society that honors the past while navigating the future. So thank you for joining us on Outside Views Politics 101, where we explore the principles and ideas that shape our political world. And if you want to see another video, the next one is right here in the end screen.